Hello, this is Carolyn with Carolyn's Paper Therapy, and I'm going to attempt to make a video for you this morning showing how I'm putting together this cover for my, let's see, Blush Pink Christmas Journal. It's made from the Blush Winter Christmas Mini Bundle Kit from Enchanted Journal Kit. Okay. I couldn't do this on camera, but I will do part of the rest of the cover on camera. I had to figure it out. If you remember, I was using a Cheez-It box, which I had cut to size, and it's just a perfect size. And then I was going to cover it with this tapestry fabric, which I did. It wasn't the easiest thing I ever did, but I did it. And I think it's going to work out beautifully. I think it goes so well to complement the blush pink and antique look richness of the papers inside. We're going to have two signatures, and we'll mark this later. I have to decide whether I'm going to sew them in or just tie them in. I think I may tie them in. I'll have to decide that later. But I'm going to tell you how I did this. You know, in the last video, I showed you the dimensions that I was using on the Cheez-It box and I cut it down. And in order to cover this, I cut a piece of this fabric that was just about an inch larger all the way around than my box. So it would be out here. And then if you've covered anything like a cover like this before, you know that you kind of cut off the corners straight across at an angle so you don't have a lot of fabric bunched up here. And one thing I forgot on one side was that I needed to glue this down to the fabric before I started stretching it on. And I think I would suggest that you maybe stretch one end on and then glue that end. I'm not sure exactly, but anyway, I have one end that isn't glued down, and I just hope it doesn't start to sag or something. But anyway, I used my glue gun and I put glue on this edge and folded this in. And I did that on each end, stretching it as tight as I could. And then I folded in my little corners and put a little glue there. And then I folded in these sides and glued them down. And so it was really rough all around here. So I had to do something to cover that. So the next thing I did was cut these pieces to fit around the opening here and just a hair to the right of the fold. And I glued those down, and I used this Fabri-Tac because I wanted to be able to tuck it in under and move it around. So I used my Fabri-Tac and I glued each end down that I had cut to size. And then I cut a panel to go down the middle here that would be just inside the fold and also up to this fabric. And after I finished that, I wanted to trim it out somehow. So I chose this ribbon because it was or lace, because it's a little heavier, it's cotton. But when I glued this on the fold here, I made sure it was in this open area so it wouldn't be so heavy that I couldn't get it to fold. And it doesn't really need to fold over, it just needs to fold like this. So I think this is going to work. I have a little loose spot there that I'll fix. So then I cut my lace, these lengths here to cover the edges, and then two long ones. And I just glued them here and then again on the paper with my glue gun. Here on the very inside of that fold and here on the outside of the fold. So this framed the paper that I had put in here. I forgot to tell you something. When you're covering with this fabric, when you have this side, these ends, you need to cut a slit here and just slightly inside and pull that piece out so that when you fold this up, you have exposed the fold, and that way it doesn't bunch up on you. I'm sorry, I forgot to tell you that, and I'm so sorry I couldn't show you. I just couldn't do this on camera because I didn't know what I was doing. I hope that's clear, and if it's not, I'm sure you can find another video that shows you how to cover a box like this. In fact, I've done several. So now, this is the front and this is the back. And what I plan to do is put my, let's see, first I'm gonna make sure this ribbon is underneath, and I'll fold it in half and glue it down. I'm just going to tack it down. Now, you want to make sure to test it and make sure you've cut it long enough to tie a bow when you're done. And I've already done that. I think I will do this with the Fabri-Tac, and like I said, I'm just going to tack it down, because when we glue down the Santa and the piece on the back, it's going to glue over the top of this and hold it in place. So I just want to make sure that I get it as straight as possible. And then I'm going to scoot it down. And I'm going to put a little Fabri-Tac here. And if this glue shows, I'll find a way to cover it up. It doesn't want to come out now. Okay, here we go. And like I said, I'm just going to tack this down lightly. I don't want heavy glue that shows through on my ribbon. And here, I'm just going to tack it right in the middle where my Santa Claus is going to go. And the same thing back here where my picture is going to go. All right. So we've got our ribbon on there for our closure. And then we're going to decorate on top of it. The first thing I'll do is glue down this Santa. And here is our fold. We might want to mark that somehow. Let's see. There's the fold right there. And so I want to kind of center him side to side and top to bottom. And I think I'm going to use my glue gun, so let me get it heated up here. I do the same thing on this side with this picture. These were on one of those pages printed out side by side, and I just cut them to fit so that there would be a trim of this around, and we could see the beautiful tapestry. As you can see, this is a work in progress. I don't have this all planned out in advance. I'm just kind of going with it as I go, planning it as I go, and then show it to you the best way that I can and explain, you know, what I've done. I'm waiting for my glue gun to get hot again. It's a cordless, which is handy because I can take it across the room and use it without plugging it in again. But if I don't use it for a minute, it cools down. That's how it's designed to shut itself off. That way the battery stays charged longer. I'm so excited to get this started, and a couple of people have expressed an interest in getting this kit and following along. I'm sure you'll do something totally different, but follow along and we'll have some fun together. So I've got this pretty well centered. And I'm going to raise it up and do something like this. So that it's tacked in place. And then I'll do my edges. Press it down real good so that it sinks into that fabric and will stay glued. It's a little bit difficult to see what I'm doing when it's on camera because I'm not over it like I would be. Okay, so there you go. That's all attached on. I got a little glue on the outside, but I've got some trim to go around there, so that should work. Now we'll come and do this other side. Let me find my fold. It's right there. And I'll center this one. I'm going to do it the same way. I'm going to glue the center first. And then the sides. Gotta order some more glue sticks. I'm going through them like crazy. I've got this greenery out. I hope to use it somewhere in here. But also today I'm making some candy, and I have these cute little bags I'm going to put them in that have a little window so you can see what's inside. And then this will be made into a little wreath at the top with a tag in the middle telling what it is. I'm making it for my church women's bazaar that's this weekend, and we have a country kitchen where we all take homemade items to sell to raise funds for our outreach in the community. So that's what I'm going to use this for, and if I have any left, I may use it in this journal. I've got it in a gold and that dark green and kind of a bright green. Okay, the next thing I have planned is to trim it with this black seam binding. And I don't know if you could find this anywhere. I had it in some old, some antique stuff that I had. Let's see. Oh, here's what I'm gonna do. Like this. And then I have, and you notice I'm taking it all the way to the edge. And then I have a piece on each side that goes across. My dilemma is how to fasten this on. Isn't that going to be pretty? Oh my goodness. I think I'll use the Fabri-Tac if I can get it to come out. Let's see if I can use it and it doesn't show through too bad. I'll just do a little bit on the corner and see what happens. I think that's going to work fine. So I'm going to put a bead of this all the way down. I have something to go with the top of this, so I don't have to glue it all over. Just tack it down. That Fabri-Tac, when you sit it down for a second, it starts oozing out. And then that starts to dry, and then you can't hardly use it. This, I'm using very little of that glue because I have something else to go over the top of it. I'll show you in a minute. I can't talk, I'm concentrating too hard. Okay. Now I'm going to put the pieces across, and they'll go like this. So, goodness. Tack down this end first. I need 4 hands. Okay, there's that one. Get glue all over me. I'm afraid it's going to show a little, but I have some trim to go over it, so that may take care of that. So let's get this end started. Okay. I think that's all for that glue. Not my favorite glue. Look at my fingers. Okay. Now, I have a little thing here to go up in the corner. Let's see if I can get it to glue on there. This is what I plan to put around this, if it works out. I don't know whether to do it at the top and bottom or down the sides. I want this on here somewhere. This could be up here. what I have is this little thing right here that I want to put the word joyful in. And the word joyful wasn't quite wide enough, so I put it on one of the little strips that I had used. And I need to trim it off. I save these little strips, and I saw a video the other day that to me was real exciting. So hopefully I can share a process this lady used that wove the papers together using the strips. And then she did it right on the corner of a page. I want to make a pocket like that, and I may do it in this journal and show you what she did. I'm trying to trim this off so it fits inside this piece, and I think I'm gonna need to put it down on here first. This is all trial and error, folks, so I hope it works and I don't ruin this beautiful journal. So this will go here, and then I'll have to use the, I don't know what to use. Let's see. How about I use this 3-in-1. Let's see if it'll hold this piece down. I think it's coming. I tell you what, I'll do that later. Let's see. Let's cut this and get it glued on. So I want to go top to bottom. And I'm going to use my glue gun again. Now this, as soon as you cut it, it starts to fray. So you want to not mess with it too much. If you find some of this trim, this is trim that my mother used on her Victorian ornaments that she used to make. And she has given me all of her a whole trunk full of supplies. I think I did a video that showed the trunk. If I didn't, I'll have to look and see. If I didn't, I need to do that because it's pretty exciting what all's in there. And I'll also share some of her ornaments. You know, this is Carolyn's paper therapy, but there's also therapy in doing the jeweled ornaments, knitting, crocheting, all other crafts, painting, drawing, all those things bring a lot of peace to us. I hope I'm getting this straight. This is why I don't do these on camera very often, because it takes so long. And if you want to, you can certainly speed through this part where I'm just showing stuff that you know how to do. but I like to show you the process and the thought process that goes into decorating like this. It just comes to me. I don't plan. This last night I wasn't sure what I was going to do with this, but I think I'm going to like this okay. Now, I had mentioned snowflakes to you, and I have some die cuts where I can cut out some snowflakes. And I have some here, but they're silver, and I don't know that I want to do silver, but I might try those. And I bought them at, they're stickers that I bought at Hobby Lobby. Okay. All right, so we got that all on there. And I will put a little glue on the ends of these here so they don't ravel out. And then cut off these two ends. And I need to find a way to glue this on. This is going to go down here and it will say joyful. Hot glue will not hold that metal, so I'll have to figure a glue that will hold that down. I think that's all I'm going to do right now. It's already been a half an hour, so let me finish with this, and I'll glue on my joyful. And I probably will use some stickles on here or something to glitter it up. So, but I'll be back, and we'll start putting this thing together. So here's what the cover looks like so far. I think I like it. And then inside we're going to have that beautiful pale pinks and gray and taupe and lots of lace and ribbon. And I even have, let me show you this before I go. I went through my stuff so I wouldn't have to get all that stuff out later. And I had a swap with a friend. I've forgotten what page it was on, but I was sent 2 or 3 things that had these little dangles on there. 3 things. And so I could make these, but these are already made, and I think these will be beautiful in this journal. So they'll be used on some pages, maybe on paper clips or bows or ribbons or something. And then I plan to use this rustic looking metal instead of shiny on here. I do have some Christmas little charms that I might want to use, but I've got keys and everything, so I'm not sure about the Christmas charms. But anyway, I'm going to use out of this right here. So you'll watch me as I go through and use some of these pretty things. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, and maybe it'll give you a plan for your journal. And definitely could use just the papers on the journal and keep it all soft and shabby and white. But to me, this is rich. It brings out the richness of these pictures. And the thing that attracted me to this kit was the Christmas tree. And I'll use it in here somewhere. But it looked like it had flowers glued on it and different things, and it was absolutely gorgeous and Victorian, and that's what made me choose this kit. So we'll have fun doing that on a page somewhere. So I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll be back before you know it. See you soon.